Welcome to the Cultivating Health Equity Stories podcast. In this captivating series, we delve into the heart of health equity, sharing stories that illuminate the path toward a fairer, more inclusive healthcare landscape. Our mission is to amplify voices, challenge norms, and inspire change. Here is your host, Dr. Troy Campbell, a research scientist on health equity issues.
Right. And so, we're here to talk about your health experience. As I said earlier at the top, that we believe that your background shapes how you navigate an illness, right? And so, Peter, thanks for sharing your background. It's quite rich, from tropics to North America, from predominantly Afro-Caribbean setting to a more diverse settings. And clearly, your faith is significant to you as a person. We are here to talk about your cancer diagnosis, and I think So, can you walk us through your initial reaction and feelings when you were diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer? You said, right, in September 2022.
Yeah, well, I wasn't feeling well for a while. Like my stomach was bothering me. And I actually had gone to Jamaica to a wedding. No problems eating there. My stomach was still giving a fit, but I thought maybe it was IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. And so I was taking medicine for that, whatever. I would say like a few days later, I went to dinner with some family friends, and I just didn't feel like eating. That's when I was like, man, something is up here. This was July. August, I knew I drove a truck. I was on the road. I knew I was coming off the road in August because we were about to transition from Miami. Yeah. And what happened?
You weren't feeling well.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling well. I went to the doctor. Doctor looked at some numbers and was like, that doesn't sound too positive. And, took some tests. When those tests came back, he saw a number that looked really odd for my liver. And he was like, this number shouldn't be this high for a person that's not an alcoholic. And he's like, I'm sitting here looking at you, and you don't have jaundice. You don't look like a drunk, because only drunks have a number that's that high. And so he scheduled a couple other tests. I went and did a ultrasound. But I actually woke up. I did an ultrasound on a Friday towards the end of September. I woke up the Sunday night. Oh, this is when that big storm came through Florida. Okay. This same week we're about to move. And my wife flew home. She was working out of town. I picked her up from the airport, and I could not get back to sleep. Pain was killing me. So I say to her, look, I'm going to the emergency room. She's like, you want me to take you? I was like, no problem. I'll just Uber over there. Went on down to University of Miami's hospital. And I let them know what all was going on. Hey, I had this high number, told them what that was about. But I came here for this pain. I started telling them, and they just started focusing on the cancer. So when I saw the ER doctor, they were like, well, look, let's do an ultrasound. I said, honestly, with the pain, I can't take all of that pressing. She was like, oh, no problem. We'll do a CT scan, CAT scan. So we did the CAT scan, and I'm there waiting. Probably took about, an hour or so for her to come back. And as she's coming into the room, I felt an honest, almost like a breeze. I don't say it was a breeze, but I felt something just kind of wash over me. And then I heard the words, relax. I was sitting up, and I sat back. And the moment I sat back, I heard, don't worry. The lady starts to talk. Do you have a primary? Because I think it'd be better if you hear it from them. She's soft pedaling. And I said, listen, lady, whatever you have to tell me, it's okay. Just tell me what you see. And then she goes on to state, well, from what we can tell, you have a tumor in your colon, which is metastasized to your liver and a couple places in your lung. It seems as though you have stage 4 colon cancer. Now, I got to tell you, it just did not It didn't hit me like that because God had just whispered to me, relax, don't worry. And I think also just the mode he put me in with whatever just kind of washed over me. It wasn't an out of body experience, but it wasn't like, there was I wasn't feeling any emotions about it. It was just, okay, you've
You were
given me this
conscious
information.
that you from a spiritual lens perspective, you're conscious of the presence of God. I think that's what you're saying to me.
Yeah, it was just, you know what? I can't focus on any negative here. I got a word. And honestly, I didn't even process it like that at the time, but it was like, look, God said, don't worry. Don't worry. And so
So
left
here
out
you
of.
are, getting the worst diagnosis one could ever get. And you are not shattered by it because of your spirituality, because of your faith.
Praise God. I mean, again, all of that had to do with a relationship where you know what you're hearing. And this is a part of the spiritual journey. For years, I didn't understand what that was about, what the Holy Spirit was really about. And we have this habit, a lot of us as Christians in particular, something told me not to do that. And it's a good thing I listened, or something told me, I was walking down the street, something told me to stop. We want to say something, but we don't want to name it. And once I named what this was talking to me, I then started hearing the Holy Spirit more.
Yeah. And so at the diagnosis at this evening at the ER, your faith was confirmed at even the worst news you could have ever had.
I mean, it was put to the test. When I heard relax, I didn't hesitate. I don't know if I would have gotten the full answer had I been like, huh? It was just my spirit knew the voice I was hearing. When I heard relax, I just sat back. And the moment I sat back, I heard, don't worry. And as I've kind of processed now, it's like, how do you doubt? How do you gainsay the Almighty God telling you, relax, don't worry? Like, who are you to do that? And fortunately, I don't have a woe is me. I'm a hopeless optimist. So, that's really the road I've been on. Within that week, spoke to my best friend, and he literally just stopped and was like, "Hey, Pete, what's going on with you, man? Like, I don't understand." Like, it was a question of like, I don't understand.
How can you be so strong?
Yeah, well, no, it was like a question of doubt and like, what's going on? It wasn't about what was really going on. What's going on? It was a deeper question. And I said to him kind of jokingly, maybe God is up there bragging, have you considered my servant Pete? And he said to me, he got serious and he said to me, the most important thing that Job said during that discourse was, for I know my Redeemer liveth. He said, look, man, we don't come from people who don't know who God is. We're not simple believers. We know who God is. And that is the difference. We've seen him answer prayers. We've seen work miracles. And that I also packaged up and put in there as well and say, all right, Lord, I hear you. I know who you are. You told me, relax, don't worry. So that's it. And that's where I've been. I have existed in that space despite anything I went through within a week. So we move within that week. We're packing up, move in that week. By that Friday, the storm came through this area on the Wednesday of the week. Fortunately, where we were moving to, God had protected it. Water was still on, lights were still on, everything was as it ought to be. And went that weekend up to my parents because I wanted to tell them face to face. My parents live in Tampa, so it's about an hour and a half north of here. And told them what was going on, called my sister and my brother. I'm not sure how we told him, but my sister immediately got on the phone, call friends. And again, this is why friendships, it makes sense to cultivate friendship. Call some friends.
Yeah.
We have a cousin that is in upper administration for Advent Health. And then this other friend who's like a VP. And on the Monday, I get a call about 11 o'clock. Lady said, my VP called me and told me to eliminate any obstacle you might have. What do you need?
Wow.
I had spoken to a doctor friend who told me what
Right.
I needed. And I was like, well, I need a colonoscopy and I possibly need a colorectal consult. And she was like, where are you? And I was like, well, I'm in Tampa. And she's like, we got a number of hospitals there. I said, well, we actually live in Sebring. You have a hospital there? And she was like, I've got a guy there. And the guy whose name she called, I had just gotten off the phone with the one person I knew in Sebring, and he had mentioned that guy's name. And so,
strong networking, right?
oh
there.
man.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, how quickly can she was like, you could see him today. And so I got my kids ready, jumped on the road, and drove on down to Sebring, saw the doctor, and he said, look, I need to get you in this week. This is Monday. By Thursday, I was in surgery for the colonoscopy. Then when I got out, he says, I know this is what I'm seeing. I see that within your colon, you have your tumor, and then there's a growth growing across from it that's threatening to shut down your colon. And he was like, that's possibly why you didn't feel like eating, because everything was starting to back up in that area. So you would have felt a little full as well. So he says, look, I got the colorectal consult set up for you tomorrow. And so I went and saw the guy. So that's Thursday, the Friday morning. He says, look, I agree with your doctor. And I'm saying that we need to go in and cut this out. He shows me a chart. He's like, we need to cut here. We need to be careful. We're going to cut out a segment. And we cut that. He's like, we'll cut that segment out and reconnect it. So he's like, this is what I want you to do, because I understand you don't have insurance, because we hadn't gotten set up with the insurance yet.
Right.
He's like, go to the emergency room and just keep calling my name. Tell them what's going on and keep calling my name. And so I decided not to go that night, went on this, on Sabbath, and he did exactly what he said. By that night, he was like, okay, I got you set up. I'm going to do the surgery on Monday. So here we are a week from that time. I think we flew my daughter in over that weekend. My daughter was away at school. So 2 weeks. So the week of the diagnosis, week of meeting with the doctor, telling my parents, flew my daughter in for the following weekend while I was waiting to have surgery, told her what was going on, and then I had surgery on the Monday. But one of the other things we did, we put it on Facebook. We said, look, we're not going to hide this. Here's what's going on. And part of why is because I had a really good friend who I didn't know was sick. And, we're corresponding on Facebook as usual. And then next thing I hear, he's dead. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I was like, no, I don't want that to be my story where Pete couldn't have told us. Like, because I felt that was the one thing, like I felt like he robbed us of being able to pray with him and to, call him and let him know, hey, we love you.
So you're saying you believed in your network, you believe in your friends,
without a doubt,
in your spiritual family, and you thought being a man of faith, making your brothers and sisters aware of your experience was important for you, because they would pray for you.
Oh man, and the prayers were tremendous.
Yeah.
It was, but there was, I think my sister put a GoFundMe as well. The response to everything was what I coined beautifully overwhelming. I mean, there were people praying. There are people still praying that, they prayed before, but they set up special times. There are people who have been praying more vigilantly than they ever did in their lives before because of my circumstance.
I remember you saying, relax. The Spirit said to you, relax. He's got it, right?
Yeah, don't worry.
Don't worry.
And so, that's
I know, and there's a lot of details, and we appreciate all the information you're sharing. How did you, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced during your chemotherapy treatment? You had a lengthy period, March 2023, you said, to July 2024, 1 year
It
or
was
more.
a year and 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I mean, chemo is for the dogs. I mean, I honestly wish that there was a breakthrough that they would let happen.
Mm-hmm.
But if we go into that discussion of chemo and everything that's wrong with it, that definitely will lead us astray. But you know, I started taking an oral chemo, and at the same time, it was an oral chemo and an immunotherapy drug, and those together dropped the numbers, brought all the numbers down. It was going well, but one of the things that started happening, my hands, like my hands were dark. When I say dark, like you could barely see my mold. That's just how dark they had gotten. My fingernails, and then my hands were sore to the touch. I still have some neuropathy in my fingertips, but just a little bit, and my feet as well. And it got to the place where walking was just like almost unbearable. Definitely not without some house shoes. And so they switched me from that, put me on another chemo. But each of these have different things. I was on that for a few months, and then they switched me to another one. And that thing started to kill me. And, you know, if you know your body, you know when you
Yeah.
take something and it's like, this right here this is rough. And it was, along with that, the side effects were strong. It shut my throat down to where I could barely swallow. Like I could barely swallow spit, and everything hurt like knives. Like it was just bad. Between the one before that and the last one I dealt with, I had strep throat like 3 times, because the other one messed with my throat too, but it didn't shut it down. I was having issues swallowing, but not like I didn't have pain. But the one they switched me to switched to pain, and it like almost totally was shutting it down. And you know, I was the kind of person I could grab a bunch of pills and throw them in my mouth, and just one little bit of water and swallow. I could barely get one down without gagging. Like that's where it went. And I kind of had an epiphany one day, talking with some friends and, you know, just thinking about it. And really what came to mind is I am going to this place and these people are giving me death.
Quit consuming death. I heard you say that.
Yeah. I had to stop consuming death, and I needed to choose life. Everything I was going to put in my body was going to be something that would feed the body, would restore the body. And I mean, there's tons of research on that, but essentially raw fruits, vegetables, and even if I'm going to cook stuff, it's going to be, you know, not overcooked. But any of the superfoods, quinoa, all of those different things, anything that was just that's going to provide restoration, not death. And so that's where we are. I'm a little over 2.5 months out. The numbers are not going in the direction that I would love. I just saw my doctor today. The numbers have jumped. A little less than half of where it was when we started. And it had gotten down to under 100. But the fact of the matter is, I can't let that metric hold me up or cause me to doubt. Because again, I still got that message. Relax, don't worry. So it's like, Lord, what do you have in mind? And I have a plan to go to a wellness center. There's one in Colorado called Eden Valley. It's one of the best.
Right, I've heard of Eden Valley.
So I'm going to be going there at the end of October and hoping that that will kind of jumpstart some stuff.
Right. So you and I catch you're just coming from the doctor. You said you went to see the doctor this morning.
Yeah, just this morning.
The results are not all bad, but not necessarily what you want to hear.
Yeah.
And but you mentioned, and I just want to emphasize that, and I use your words, consuming death and choosing life affirming food. And at least your side effects has changed. from
Oh,
the
without a doubt. Without a
yeah.
doubt.
Tell us more about that, because and why you advocate for this life.
This is fundamental to who we are. When God created Adam and Eve, where did he put them? He put them in a
In a fruit,
garden.
in a garden, yeah, in
Yeah.
an orchard.
We were meant to consume raw food. It was literally what this perfect body at the time was made to consume. So as you really look at it, us consuming anything other than the original diet was something that was going to be leading us. It was just fast tracking our deterioration. And it's part of what has brought us down. Eating meats, eating stuff that wasn't in that original diet.
That
And yeah, of course, the tree of life, would have sustained them forever. But God put them out of there. Like, nope. First of all, you're going to have to get out here and grow. You have to go and plant up and grow this stuff now.
right, right.
And so, yeah, I believe that we should not be consuming the milk of another animal. Our mother's milk, and that's it. Once she weans us, that's supposed to be it. And there's more than enough research that shows that people that consume milk and dairy have higher incidences of diabetes and higher incidences of cancer.
Clearly, you're strong on lifestyle and alternatives to pharmacological prescriptions,
Well,
treatment.
I had a good friend who she passed away in 2015, and when she first got sick a few years before that, she made us all sit down and watch all of these nutritional shows about Dr. Gerson, and Dying to Have Known is one of them, Forks Over Knives. Like any video that was out there, we sat and we watched it. So I started getting the information from then. And of course, I mean, let me tell you, when you get sick, when I tell you people come with stuff, everybody's sending you a video. Did you see this? Did you see that? That's overwhelming. And I remember my friends saying that, like, man, all of this stuff I'm getting, I don't know which way to turn. And that overwhelming you could cause you to stop. Like there's some of my supplements that I haven't taken in a while just because I'm just like, what do I take? I got ashwagandha and this, that, and the other, and I got all kind of stuff. Okay, when do I take this? When do I take that? It's just so overwhelming that it's just tough if you're not, it's tough to stay on some kind of a schedule. So knowing is half the battle, doing is the real thing. And my suggestion to people is start making the choices now. Sugar, we shouldn't be consuming sugar the way we do, but it's in everything. I promise you. There is stuff when you go in your cupboards and look that has sugar, and you're like, why does this need sugar? This is a savory dish.
Now, how would you say cancer has changed your outlook on life?
Oh, I mean, you can't look at life the same. I mean, you start to really try and enjoy life more, take in time with family. I think my conversations are more honest. I don't have time to sugarcoat anything, So I think that's one of the biggest things. And then spiritually, it has definitely drawn me closer to Christ, closer to God, and, definitely ignited a passion for helping people understand that, look, this message I got of relax, don't worry, this applies to all of us. God is saying to everybody in this world, stop stressing, stop stressing. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be in the worst place in the world. God is like, it's not about this world. Relax, don't worry. If you get nothing out of this life, if you're locked up in prison for the next, for the rest of your life, like Sean Combs might be, relax, don't worry, because I've got something for you that's better than this. And this doesn't matter.
So it brings you to a place where you're able to look on life over time and you evaluate what's important.
Indeed.
And it gives you focus.
Indeed.
Yeah. You shared so much, Peter, invaluable information here.
Well, my pleasure. My pleasure.
Yes, yes, sir. We appreciate it. Any other advice you have for people who might be facing similar health challenges?
I can't tell people what to do. The reality is, chemo is a very personal choice, and I understand why people do it. But definitely do not be afraid to say enough is enough.
Yeah,
This is our
yeah.
life. Take it on your own
Advocate for
terms.
yourself.
Listen, it's see what it is. We're afraid to die. That's really what it comes down to. We're afraid to
Mm,
die, and so
mm,
you want to keep. You're trying to cling to life, but it's like it's a trick.
mm.
It's like the devil is tricking you. Like, no, you gotta have some more of this death. This death is going to give you life. And I'm like, again, when you look at that philosophically, you're like, that just doesn't make sense. But that's, again, I'm not going to say don't do it. I just would say you pray about it, ask God to lead you and direct you. But don't
Yeah,
be afraid if you feel like, wow, this thing is destroying me. I
right.
decided, look, I don't want in a year, they say, oh, your cancer is gone, but I can't swallow anymore.
Yeah.
What
You
value
lose
is
your
life?
life anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what value is that? I
Mm,
want
mm.
quality of life too. And I'm not worried about what happens. And that's where you've got to just say, Lord, I trust you. And
Yeah,
I'm taking it on the terms. There's a lot of information about what you can do. And
yeah,
if you are dedicated, you're willing to change your lifestyle and eat properly. The fact of the matter is cancer can't live in a body that's alkaline. It also can't. It needs sugar. Sugar is
to
what it
grow.
needs. So
Yeah.
you've got to eliminate those things. Like when the lady said it to me, it dawned on me like I actually had less alkaline stuff this since the last time, and I'm like, yeah, that's what it is. And so I've got to go back and make my alkaline stuff and make sure I'm doing more of
And
that.
you said earlier you're getting ready to visit Eden Valley.
Yeah.
This is an
hmm
alternative health organization. Can you tell us a little bit about what you plan to do?
Well, I mean, they have a cancer program. I know that, diet is very strong for them. They have a hyperbaric chamber. Again, when you go in there, cancer, it basically stalls the growth of cancer.
Hmm.
And you go in there for about 45 minutes a day. They do the standard, you're talking original sanitarium level stuff, the hot and
Hmm.
cold water
Yeah.
therapy, as well as other things. I don't know everything that they do, but this one, I actually spoke to a cousin of mine just this morning while I was waiting to see the doctor, who she had gone there. She had breast cancer.
Right.
And when I told her I was going, she was like, wonderful. She's like, you're going to love it. And when she went, there was a guy that had basically the same thing I did, and she saw an improvement in him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I just kind of need them to dial me in. Okay, what are the recipes I should be doing? The Lord is working it out where we're going to have someone that comes and helps me with meal prep on a daily basis or a couple
Yeah.
days a
Yeah.
week. And,
Yeah.
for me, it's getting the information, going into the kitchen and
Yeah.
seeing how they do what they do and coming back with a
Yeah.
set of recipes that I know how to cook.
So
So,
perhaps spend more time in the kitchen and less at the pharmacy, right?
oh, definitely. I mean,
Yeah.
I try to avoid any pills. The only thing I do are vitamins. So all of my pills are vitamins. I have a B
Yeah.
complex,
Yeah.
C, D,
And so forth.
iron. Yeah.
So, is there anything, Peter, you might have thought of before we started the conversation you wanted to share? You haven't shared yet.
No, I think we've kind of touched on it
We've
all.
kind of
Yeah,
covered it. Yeah, I certainly would like to catch up with you another time, and you're continuing on this journey, this battle with this dreaded disease, and we wish you all the best, and
I
we
appreciate
commend
it.
your faith and your self advocacy and your willingness to try even alternative treatments, right? I
Yes,
really
sir.
appreciate your approach and your perspectives.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. again, thanks, Peter, for sharing, and all the best, man. Good health.
All right, thanks.
And we'll stay in touch.
All right, you take care.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Cultivating Health Equity Stories. Remember, our mission is to amplify voices, challenge norms, and inspire change. Go to cultivatehealthequity.com, sign up on our email list, subscribe for future episodes, and find the resources mentioned in the show notes. Until next time.